let me pull up the scoreboard for you guys. I'm joining in around late, so I apologize about that. This is Wash U from St. Louis against Caltech. This is Division 2. This is a match for semifinals, I believe. So this is the quarterfinals. Here, let me show you guys that scoreboard. So this is results after round 1. Caltech here, coming off a big win against UCLA's B team. Caltech is the top seed in the division. They are the favorite to win. And yeah, Wash U, I'm not entirely sure what their rating is. But either way, it should be a close match. Here we got two national masters. Tony with the big win in the first round against their board 2. Now he's playing against their board 1. So Spencer here, national master from Wash U. He's the only player that got a point in that first round. So Caltech's going to try to look to further their lead. They're up 2 points after the first round. And Wash U's going to try to answer back. So winner of this match will move on to play, I think, against Purdue. And then that'll be the semifinals played next week. And then the winner of that match will move on to play against U Chicago in the finals. And that's U Chicago's B team. U Chicago's A team actually just beat Texas Tech and will be playing UCLA likely later today. Let me get a couple announcements going so that people know that we're live. 1 second. All right. Okay. Hi, Kevin. Good to see you. All right, so what's going on here? I wonder if National Master French and Slav plays the French and the Slav. This is, Spencer Lehman. Again, the only player from Wash U to get a point out of the first round. So Caltech to a hot start. Their only player that didn't get a point. Matthew Zeitlin here, their board 4. 1825. Let's look at who is the board 2. This might be. This is the board 2 for Caltech. against board 4. So 1871. So both board 4s in the 1800s. That should be a close match when it gets to round 4. This is round 2 out of 4. So I missed the first round. But we're going to see there's still going to be an exciting finish for this. And again, the winner of this moves on to the semifinals. All right, so we got an isolated D pawn here, lining the rook up with the queen. Likely going to see rook to c1 eventually at some point. Oh my god, we had an early result here. Board 4 from Caltech going down to the board 2. So what happened here? This is not a very happy king here. And this queen's going to be coming in. I wonder if... this knight check is a big threat. We got a lot of pieces on dark squares. This bishop, literally no moves. Blocked in there. King stepping onto a light square, trying to get out of any forks, but this still hits with the fork. In fact, there's no way to stop knight coming into e6 without forking something. And now we got the queen invading. This fork is going to come. And, yeah, unfortunately, we have to stop check somehow. Well, checkmate here. Maybe thought that was a free pawn with check, but just losing a rook. And yeah, it's going to be an easy conversion for white there. So let's give that point to WashU as they're trying to get some points back. Even things up here in the second round. What's going on here? 2 minutes to 40 seconds. Deep blue. May 11th, 1997. That might be an important date. Certainly not playing like deep blue. What's going on here? Only 29 seconds. It's not looking too good. Very comfortable time edge for board 1 on Caltech's team. Looks like the board 1 from WashU also in a time crunch. So Caltech is playing pretty quickly. Here we've got potential trade along the c-file. The knight's hopping in. We can trade a pair of rooks for... Actually, no, we can't. This comes with check. So we have to move the queen here. So these are all... If you go here, you're going to get forked. But again, there's always going to be this trade because it hits the queen. So we're stepping back, just boxing out this knight. This is interesting, trying to pin the bishop to the queen. We can trade and play rook to c8. Also hitting a7. Maybe knight to c6 could be a thing. Defending a7. Forcing a rook trade. Again, Tony here, pretty comfortable. Time edge. Let's go back to Deep Blue's game. Board 1 against Caltech. This is a pinned pawn here to the queen. Queen's undefended. King stepping up. We're probably going to bring the rook to the g-file. Open things up here against this king. Black here. How to defend exactly. Trying to get off the g-file, which makes sense. Also getting out of this pin. Eventually going to have to get these pieces involved somehow. Alright, so it's just opening up here. Getting over. This is a threat. Not anymore. I would like to move this queen somewhere. Get this knight involved on these light squares. Also, yeah, just doubling the rooks is a great idea. Okay, bishop here, yeah. Hit that queen. That's pretty annoying. Offering queen trade. You could just step up. Step up. And then bring the knight in. You do, you know, potentially lose a couple pawns, but the attack here is just very strong. Knight here as well could be played. Let's go back to Tony's game here. Both sides extremely low on the clock, although Tony's up a queen. It's a queen against the bishop and rook. So we could potentially play here, trying to hit this pawn, and if the knight ever leaves, the bishop and rook have some coordination. One attempt to try to get the queen back. The knight's going to come in with check. You can try to stop it. Actually, you can't. Rook can take either way, and then that's a big fork. So, oh, rook takes. Come on. There it is. Rook takes because queen takes. You got that fork lined up. So hard to see with barely any time left. That's a big knight to lose. Tony sees a tactic after the fact. Doesn't take the rook. He's got these two outside pawns that he's going to try to push. If you step up, that's mate. Either way. So he's got to stay back. There's a check. This knight, beautiful outpost. Never going to leave. So I like white a lot just in terms of material. But it's tricky for both sides because these pawns are going to start running. There's no mating net. Not yet. White's going to have to try to their best to weave something. Tony living off the increment here. This is going to be very difficult for black to win. There's a check. Just attacking f2. Oh, there goes f2. There goes e3. There goes d4. So now this knight was on a very nice, comfortable square. Has to move. Oh, boy. Oh, man. This doesn't look good. There's a mate. All right. Tony goes down. He lost the knight there. This was a very powerful knight here on e5. Lots of tactics. So Tony loses his first game of the match to Wash. Use board 1. So that evens up the score. He's 2 for 2. What's going on here? Okay, white's going to clearly win this. Lots of pawns here. This white's trying to fight for a draw, but it's two pawns too many, I think. Black should be able to convert this. Both sides even on the clock. Should be a matter of technique here. Just push pawn. This pawn maybe. Shuffle move. Shuffle move. Just trying to buy some time off the increment. You can give check, but then king comes back. Black does not want to give any drawing chances. Trying to trade the rooks. You got to keep the rook on. Pinning the pawn. I would give check. Black has to push some pawns if you want to make some progress. Check. Hitting the rook. Oh, just check. You block with the rook. And now you got to get these other pawns in. There's check here, but it doesn't really do much. Let's see. So Caltech's board 1, also 2 for 2, maintaining that 1-point lead. Let's see here. This is Knight Dwarf, board 4 from Wash U, trying to get a point on the board. Trying to tie things up for Wash U. This would be a big win. 1800 against FIDE Master. Math apples. No. Gotta defend G2. This rook preventing any forward progress. This G pawn is inhibited by the king. The king's gonna have to move eventually. Or you can get to E3, blocks the rook. Now we can push through. Trading off this last pawn here. Both sides under 10 seconds. The king steps up. There's a check. Nope. You got to step back now. There's always a check here. I think you got to go back to F4. Okay, so the rook's coming back. Is the king going to step forward? And then you give check. King has to step back. This is awkward. Because the check, you got to bring the king forward. Okay. Lots of checks to give. He's getting behind. Okay, king can step up now. He's trying to push here. Yeah, that stops it. Check. Now come up here. Okay, this is the idea, and if check, you can step the king up. Okay. Yeah, so king steps up. This is gonna be pushing through. Here. You gotta make some progress. You gotta push the pawns. You gotta push the pawns. White's holding. I don't know. Black here. You gotta push if you want to make some progress. You will forever and always be checked. King steps up. If check, block, and then push. Block, and now push. Gotta push. You gotta push here. You've been in this position. He's pushing through. There's some progress. No more check. Well, there's check here. You can give check here. There's a check here now. He's stepping back. Soon there won't be any check. Okay, you can push. King steps up. You gotta watch out though. You can't move. You can't. You move the rook away. Yeah. All right. Oh my God, he flagged. He flagged. Oh, he lost. Unbelievable. That you hate to see it. You hate to see it. Yeah. It's hard living off the 2-second increment, but these pawns needed to be pushed earlier. And give huge credit to White here. Really strong defense, making life very difficult for Black to make any progress. So, even though FIDE Master Math Apples, Jason Shi down 2 pawns, still remains flawless here with that time win. Niger, I didn't even realize you guys rated. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome, you guys. I have all my alerts off, but I really appreciate it. Sorry I didn't recognize earlier. Welcome to the stream. I am Joe Bruin. You might recognize me from my main Twitch account, but this is the Collegiate Chess League that I've helped start. Yeah, as you can see, I'm the commissioner. I basically started this league, and yeah, this is a lot of fun. So lots of colleges have joined. We've got 36 schools represented by over 300 players. This is the quarterfinals for Division 2. So there are 4 divisions. This is the second strongest division in the league. And these are some really strong teams going head to head. This is an elimination match. So the losing team will go home and the winning team will move on to the semifinals, where they will face a strong Purdue team. Caltech here is the top seed. They were number 1 ranked overall in Division 2. Thank you again, Niger. I appreciate it. So this is the round 3 in the match. Caltech had a 2-point lead in the first round, 1-point lead. Actually, no. The last round was tied at 2 each. So Caltech maintaining a 2-point lead going into the third, up 5-3. WashU, they're a good team. They're going to have to come back here. They've only got 2 rounds left. Niger, knowing some of these players. Niger is from St. Louis, or at least goes to school there. Wash U is in St. Louis as well. Niger, though, represents St. Louis University, so not the same school. And SLU is actually competing in the finals in Division 1 coming up next weekend. This is a pesky knight here on e6, trying to fork the king and rook on c7, and also hitting this pawn here, so only way to defend both, I guess. King to f7 here, kicking that knight out. Will we see the knight come back? Will we see the defense? Probably not, because then knight develops to f6 with tempo. The bishop could come here, and then you kick this out, and then you have to... Actually, it looks like that knight was just trapped. Hold on. Knight coming into g5, met with f4, kicking that bishop out and removing the defender of the knight. So this little knight e6 trick, trying to get cute, hanging this, threatening this, and doesn't end up working because two pieces are attacked at the same time, having to give up the knight for two pawns. And this king not castled, but not bothered. The queens are off. They've been traded. And yeah, black will be happy with that extra piece. Getting this rook off the h-file so the king can get tucked away. And you'll never even know that this king wasn't castled. So yeah, white here, down on the clock, gonna have to come up with a plan, find compensation somewhere, hopefully in the form of the bishop pair. And yeah, black already just trying to attack some of these bishops. They're gonna have to retreat, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we go for some sort of, rook trade here. All right, let's look at Tony's game. He's up against a board 4. Board 4, he had a really strong position, up 2 clean pawns in the end game against Caltech's board 2, and was unable to convert. He flagged and lost. So he's going to see if he can try to do better this time against Tony here, board 3 from Caltech. It's not going to be easy, especially here he's down a pawn, and looks like black can respond fairly simply, just blocking c6, put the bishop there, looking for a trade. I would probably play c4, but then if this is interesting. If c4, well, you drop the c pawn, so I was thinking something like e6, knight takes, and if pawn takes back, you win the rook. But if we play e6, knight takes, then you take the bishop and say thanks for the piece. So, or I guess if you play c4, push, knight takes, bishop takes, you take the piece back, but then now the knight's hanging. And you can take here, but anyways, defending the bishop. If bishop takes, rook takes, protecting the pawn, at least for the time being. We might be hit. Yeah, I'm not sure. This is a very awkward pawn structure for Tony here. He is up a pawn, but not the healthiest of pawn structures. Black's going to try to get this pawn back. And yeah, maybe they'll have some activity as compensation. Let's look at Caltech's board 1. Can we take a pawn here? No, because bishop takes with check. Can we take here? Pawn takes, and then rook takes. I feel like this gives some tactics. We've got knight takes, and if pawn takes, we're just up a pawn, right? Rook takes, and then we have. Actually, no. I think rook takes should have been. Rook takes, right? Because even though the rook's hanging, there's no good bishop discovery. If rook takes now, then f3 can be played. And this knight is pinned. Alright, so the knight comes back. And I'm wondering if white is considering a move like f4. Yeah, unleashing an attack on this knight and the pawn, and also just getting some really strong central pawns in the game. I like this f4 push. We might have to play b6 just to protect the knight. Because if the knight leaves, I don't know, we can always see c4, knight moves coming in with check. Unless you go here and here, but you might get forked. Caltech chess here, board 1, up a pawn, but uncomfortable position here for sure. Definitely the safer king. Stronger central rooks here for white. This bishop just got into the game here now. So this pair of knights gonna have to figure out something. Actually, not up a pawn, up a piece for 2 pawns, but going to be losing a pawn soon. Or having to give up connected passers. Let's look back at Tony's game. So, white to move. He's got a pawn here, but he's hanging c3. Is c3 taken? Yes. Tony's got to watch out for back rank. He might want to invest a move here to get a flight square. Something like this. Going h4. Alright. Otherwise, this position looks pretty drawn. h5 played, maybe double up the rooks. But then takes here. Maybe want to just get on the second rank. Would be good. Maybe rook to d1 at some point for white. Otherwise, looks extremely drawn. Let's look at Caltech's board 4. We got 2 1800 players here. That was what was just captured. Looks like deep blue up a lot of material. Oh, right here trying to hit the knight. Very timely. Queen to d5, coming in with check to win the pawn back on c5. White trying too hard to get some material, hitting both the queen and the knight, but failed to see en passant here. Very, very crushing move, as it's a discovery check on the king, but also a double attack on the bishop. So there goes a piece, and white, you know, active queen. Maybe you can find some sort of major counterplay here, but I think just simply rook over to e8. Super low on the clock though. Knight's coming in, trying to protect e7. Black totally winning, but totally running out of time. And WashU, they already had their board 4 lose a very crucial game. This looks like a pawn. Yeah. But, you know, black would be happy to trade down, I imagine. And you can even play rook here again. 12 seconds, not too much. There goes a pawn. 10 seconds. Going for queen trade, I like it. Maybe this knight will be... There's just block with queen. Okay. There goes a pawn. Guarding our base points, we're giving up some checks here. That's okay. Let's look at Caltech's board 1. These pawns are very strong. So up a piece, but down a lot of pawns. Deep pawns. I think white would be good to play f6. In my opinion. f6 played. You might have to invest. No. Yeah, there goes a piece. The piece is back. White will get this, or black will get this pawn. Oh, bishop takes. In my opinion. Well, you have to calculate if that's a 1 pawn in game. You do have the double pawns here, but black is gonna get this pawn back. Oh, take this first? That was interesting. King has to take now. No? Okay. Well, I feel like you gotta take this, right? No, just leaving the king on. Okay, well, there goes this pawn. Interesting decision. Giving black some life here. The king, are you gonna have to... These are not... This is not an entrance. This pawn will never be able to push. Okay, going for some weaker pawn. But this drops with check, though. King maybe could have stepped up. Oh, you grab this, and it should be game over. This should be a win for white. So it looks like, well, okay, black, some chance. No. There's no push here. 9 seconds both sides, though. Yeah, just push. King up. Or this. This is good, too. Check. I don't like this. Okay, this should still be winning for white. Here. Oh, that was interesting. You can't promote. Do not promote. Block. Yeah, winning for white. Check here. Or, okay, grab the pawn. There you go. And you got 2 queens on the board. Can't stop both. Promote with check. Or that. Okay. Anyways, we've got some results. Tony's won his game against Night Dwarf. So Night Dwarf unable to get a point after that devastating loss. And here, M. Zeitlin gets a point. So Tony getting 2. Caltech's board 4 getting a point on the board. And 1 game left. Caltech Chess lost to Mockingbird in that game. So that was their board 2. So Wash U's board 3 and board 4 still pointless. And this is Wash U's board 1 here. So what's going on in this position? White's got this outside pass pawn. Black to move. This pawn's going to be falling. White will take this. And I think white's just favored here. Because this king better able to get this pawn, and then this pawn's going to promote. Knight takes. You cannot take this. You have to grab this pawn and then save this bishop to grab this pawn here. I like white. White has the best chances to win. But still hope. The knight's going to take this. And then you have to use the knight somehow to shield the bishop from the pawn. So if you get the knight here, And you can tell Math Apples knows exactly what he needs to do. He's been playing the moves precisely. Board 1 for Wash U, only 6 seconds. Gonna be hard to defend with no time. Yep, get the pawn on the dark square. Okay. Okay, wait, it's a B pawn. Is this a draw? I think it's a draw. Yeah, okay. Alright, it's a stalemate. Okay, I don't know. I thought B and G pawns, I guess it depends on the tempo. Was there a win there? Or was this always just a draw? I guess this was always just a draw. I thought there was... Okay, the king was in time. So I guess the B pawn's a stalemate. Alright, well anyways, 2.5 here. And this is Math Apples. 2.5 here. Alright. So Caltech, they're at 7.5. They need 1 whole point in round 4 to clinch the win. So UCLA's B team was playing Caltech on Friday, and UCLA heading into round 4, they were at 7 points, so they needed 1 game out of 4 for the draw, and Caltech had a crushing 3.5 out of 4 performance in that round 4, so they were able to come from behind actually and win it. Didn't even need overtime. So Caltech definitely knows how to play really well in the 4th round when they need it. And Wash U is gonna have to do some similar magic if they wanna tie this thing up. They need a 3.5. They cannot afford to lose a single game if they want to force overtime. They need 3.5 out of 4. Wash U, their lower boards, 3 and 4, pointless so far. Didn't mean that as an insult, but they literally don't have points. So, you know, they really need it now, more than ever. If Night Dwarf was able to pull off that win against Math Apples, it'd be a different story. It'd be 5.5 to 6.5. But unfortunately, the clock is part of it. So let's see what's going on here. We've got 3 attackers and only 1 defender, that pawn. And looks like we're going to take... Oh, no. Takes... Okay. You might have to block with the knight. This is interesting. So, like, knight takes... I mean, I was thinking maybe you can step the queen up and keep this pin. So that way you're not going to lose a pawn. This way you lose a pawn. But, you know, the light square bishop is off the board. I think maybe like rook to c8 would be good. Or grab this pawn. Well, rook c8 first. Then grab the pawn. I guess bishop would come here, try to hit a7. Yeah. I would still grab here, though. Nope. Interesting. Castles. You know, you're giving up this pawn. Let's see. Caltech, they only need 1 point. I suspect their best chance might be on board 3. This is a very big mismatch here. Tony, National Master, very strong board 3. And you can see Wash U, they don't have any points on boards 3 or 4. So they've got a big gap in terms of rating between their second board and their third board. This here, Deep Blue, pointless so far out of 3 rounds. Can he find something here against Tony? Tony, he's the point leader for Wash U, so he's been performing the best so far. Hasn't been beaten yet. And if he continues this throughout all 4 rounds, he can clinch at least a draw for his team. Chess Jawa repping U Chicago. Fearing Caltech. I think UCLA had a really good chance to beat Caltech, and they collapsed in round 4, which was unfortunate. That match ended up going 8.5 to 7.5, so very close match between UCLA's B team and Caltech. I'm honestly still kind of upset. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Yeah, Chesja, I will definitely be streaming the UCLA match. So UCLA's A team coming off a really hot, really clutch overtime performance against Princeton. They will be playing U Chicago's A team today, likely at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. U Chicago, I would call it an upset win against Texas Tech. Took them down 8.5 to 4.5. There were a couple forfeit games. Seven and a half to 5.5. I'm not sure. Apparently 3 of their games were forfeit, so the official score might be shown as 11.5 to 4.5. Yeah, that sounds right. But it doesn't matter. U Chicago beat Texas Tech, and so now U Chicago will be playing UCLA for a spot at the semifinals, which will be streamed next weekend, and the winner will face the winner between U Chicago and UCLA will play Mizzou, and UCLA has already played Mizzou and was beaten pretty convincingly. And then the winner from that match in the semifinals will move on to play the ultimate SLU team. And hopefully Niger can stream it. There's only 1 match left for SLU. And I don't think anyone from SLU has streamed it, despite having at least 3 streamers. They also apparently have like a really nice streaming lounge or an esports area at their school that hasn't been put to use in terms of the chess team yet, but I'm optimistic. Hopefully they are too. So what's going on here? Can we grab this pawn? I doubt it, but I'm tempted anyways. So, okay, what's... Nope. Instead, just going on back to b8. I think knight takes d4 was just a free pawn. Instead, the knight retreating. So Tony reluctant here to grab on d4. And Deep Blue trading down rooks. So Wash U, they can only allow 1 draw, and then they need to win the rest. The problem is they need to all be aware of their situation. So Tony from Caltech, when they were playing against UCLA, once the other 3 boards were won, he offered a very quick draw offer to UCLA's board 3. And we needed to play on. It was a must-win situation to force the tie match, to force OT, and our player accepted the draw immediately. So maybe we could see a similar situation where another board will end in a draw, and it would be very wise for all the remaining Caltech players to just offer draw and see if they can get that half point that they need to clinch the win, if and only if one of the other boards gets drawn. Let's look here. It looks like French and Slav is in a good position here. This is a pinned bishop. Looks like that's a piece. I mean, can't you do rook takes as well? So we're grabbing here. So it looks like this is going to be a point, although, you know, on the clock, but that looks promising so far. Knight Dwarf, however, looks completely lost here. Down a whole rook. There's this monster check here. Yeah, not looking too hot. So, you know, Caltech only needs one win here. Their board 4 might clinch the win for the whole match. This is a threat. Actually, no, it's not. Well, actually, it is. There's too many. This is mate coming up real quick. Real quick. Too many mate threats. There's no king move. There's no rook move. There's no time. Queen takes, mate in 2. Or just even better yet, mate in 1. So there it is. There's the match. Board 4s clinch it. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the remainder of the games. We can go back to the board 1s. Rook B1's what I would play here. I was saying French and Slav had a really strong position. Now I'm not. I mean, yeah, this is a very beautiful knight, and the bishop's not too happy here behind its own pawns. Caltech chess, they had the time advantage. Now they're under on the clock. They're struggling to find a move here. I would just play rook b1, try to get this b pawn back. So rook b1 played. Okay, getting forked with the knight. Yeah, this pawn's gonna come now. That was the main issue. Oh, grab the pawn now. Yeah, gotta come here. Just come push this guy. Okay. Well, now it's lost, but I guess you get the a pawn back. But black's not gonna be in a rush to take the a pawn. I mean the b pawn because of the a pawn. So, anyways. Oh yeah. Grab it here, grab it there. Okay, so you do get the a pawn eventually. Super low on the clock. Up the exchange for black. Just push the pawn. Rook's coming here. Okay. How are you going to stop? Well, I guess. Okay. Rook here. Yep. And now if rook here, you can play here. So what about, yeah, just rook here. And rook. No, you can't go here because then rook takes. So, okay. Honestly, you could take... Nah, why would you? Why complicate it, you know? You'd play rook here. Oh, I wonder if there was rook check. Here, yeah, rook check would have been pretty. That would have been pretty. Because the bishop's pinned to the rook. But, you know, a lot of different ways to win here. Let's look at Tony's game. Okay. Tony's actually losing. Tony's low on the clock. Wow. Push the pawns. Okay, that's good too. And then here. Probably here. Okay. That's a fork. Take here. Tony should be losing this. Yeah, save the... Push this guy. Yeah. Push him again. You can give check. Okay. Well... Just grabbing all the pawns. Okay, so French and Slav won this game. Looks like Tony's going to be losing this game. And... Who won this game? Math Apples won. Alright. That was a mating attack here. So... Black's attack just springs to life here, winning a rook. Queen check. Bishop check. Just every piece coming into the game. And, yeah, this king's made it, so... Oh my god. Looks like their board 4 was really needed, actually. Because looks like they won on every board except board 4. Wait. Yeah, they're board 1-1-2, right? Did I do this right? That was really close to a comeback. Caltech, if you're listening, give your board 4 a round of applause because he just clutched that one for you guys. Their board 1 lost. Did he go 3.5 from Wash U? I'm not sure. Night Dwarf here lost from Wash U. Deep Blue beat Tony for his first point of the entire match. And I was saying this was a bit of a mismatch. Tony much higher rated than Deep Blue. And Deep Blue 0-3 so far in the rounds. Getting his first point here, but too little too late. And yeah, the board 2's won for Wash U as well. So very strong performance from the top words of Wash U. But Caltech, much more balanced team. And this is a team tournament, so it takes a good team to win. And Caltech took down a really tough UCLA B team, and here they hold on in round 4 against Wash U to move on to the semifinals. So definitely a bit of a nail biter at the end there. Wash U trying their best to come back 3 out of 4, but they needed 3.5. They were just one draw shy from tying this thing up, forcing OT. So, yeah, props to Wash U trying their best. Unfortunately, couldn't get that half point that they needed, and Caltech survives, moves on, and they'll be facing off against a tough Purdue team, I believe.